Newfound favorites fade from relevancy as we exit the melancholic mourning period between anime seasons and enter into spring. Uma Musume Pretty Derby is a discouragingly accurate representation of modern anime, and I don't know what's more disconcerting, my complete indifference towards the sheer ridiculousness of a show about anthropomorphic racehorse idols, or the fact that I found myself enjoying it. Gegege no Kitaro feels exactly like what it is, an action-oriented reboot of a classic series that's attempting to capitalize on the resurgence of yokai anime. The simplistic Monster of the Week series structure, paired with a narrative heavily steeped in Japanese mythology, makes it seem like the Kitaro franchise was never intended to resonate with a Western audience. Kakuyo no Yadomeshi felt bland and devoid of personality. Its genre, according to various sites, is simply supernatural, not romance or even reverse harem, contrary to the multitude of pretty boys. It's almost as if the show is afraid to establish its own identity, ultimately feeling like an ambiguous amalgam of pre-existing yokai and slice-of-life anime. Now this is a reverse harem. Look at all these hot boys. This is an excessive amount of boys. The original Legend of the Galactic Heroes is a renowned classic trapped in an antiquated aesthetic. Although the 90s version has its own distinct charm, its style can be a deterrent for prospective viewers. That being said, I was justifiably skeptical of a remake, but that skepticism was quickly put to rest. Episode 1 was clearly handled with care out of respect for its predecessor and simply felt like the beginning of a Galactic Heroes for a new generation. If Galactic Heroes is a reverent retelling, Megalo Box is a raw reinterpretation. I was aware of the fact that Megalo Box was being promoted as a project for Ashita no Joe's 50th anniversary, but the degree to which it paid homage to Joe was absolutely wild. From certain story beats to literal recreations of characters, the first episode overflows with intertextuality without thriving on it. Even those who haven't seen Joe will still be able to enjoy the experience of a stylistically gritty robotic punch fest. As of now, I don't have too much to say about Tadda-kun wa koi wa shinai aside from the first episode's smile-inducing nature. Episode 1 gave the impression of a prologue with the sole intention of establishing a fun and vibrant atmosphere. The surprisingly bouncy opening, perpetual outlandish coincidences, stupidly endearing voice acting by Mamoru Miyano, everything, even the handful of cliches, felt full of charm. After an agonizing 15 seconds of senseless techno-babble, I wanted nothing more than to simply walk away from Saredo sumi bito wa ryu to odoru. But for your sake, I was able to give it a full 7 minutes before turning it off. Let me just read you the first few lines of dialogue. Using the event induction computer, humanity, for the first time, succeeds in creating a space-time bubble. The law of conservation of energy is broken within the space-time bubble by changing the fundamental laws of physics, including the Planck constant resulting in the emergence of matter derived from quantum field instructions. The hyperphysical phenomenon that allows matter to extract matter from vacuum fluctuations at will forms the basis of the system of technology that would soon come to be known as Jushiki. What even is this? This thing reeks of edgy light novel adaptation. No thank you, not for me. Comet Girls is your obligatory cute girls doing cute things anime of the season. You've got your pink girl, your blonde girl, your blue girl, and your best girl all trying to overcome their artistic shortcomings while living together under the same roof. It's a simple and straightforward concept that lends itself to quick-paced comedy. Overall, my willingness to watch Comet Girls in spite of its inevitable mediocrity is fueled by the likelihood of a beach episode. Hinamatsuri is outlandish, eccentric, and adorably weird in a way that's entirely unique to anime. Only in anime could a story of a kind-hearted Yakuza taking care of a psychokinetic girl be simultaneously comedic and genuinely sincere. From start to finish, the entirety of the first episode was thoroughly entertaining. Fluctuating animation quality and bizarre pacing aside, the first episode of Duffels Line was tonally opaque. The moment a scene would begin to solidify an atmosphere, it would lurch into another attitude, ruining any sense of tension. I found myself struggling to understand what I should be feeling, rather than allowing the series to dictate my emotional state. What began as an edgy, hyper-violent action episode with hints of suspense, ended with a romantic monologue and sudden non-consensual kissing. I love anime for its ability to make even the most mundane activities intense and compelling. From ping pong to shogi, everything has the potential to be exciting. For that reason, when an anime with an inherently interesting concept such as Gun Gale Online, is outright boring, I can't help but feel upset towards the wasted potential of a good idea. The near entirety of the first episode consisted of the two main characters observing, analyzing, and conversing about the movements of their opponents, which is something I typically enjoy. Take the Chimera Ant arc from Hunter x Hunter, for example. But when strategizing occurs before characterizing your own protagonist, I almost feel more attached to these unnamed NPCs who had more screen time than the actual heroine. Imagine if the first episode was told from the perspective of these elite soldiers trying to hunt down this mysterious pink P90 wielding girl, slowly unveiling our main character little by little. There would be suspense and intrigue in an otherwise uneventful introduction to a series. Regardless, I've yet to meet a real-world counterpart of any character, so I think it would be unfair to make any further judgment. Dorei-Ku is probably the one edgy anime this season I'll admit to liking unironically. A story with a premise of gambling-powered technology used as a means of enslavement has the potential to explore some unusual ethical hypotheticals. It probably won't, but it might. I'm willing to overlook lousy animation if the quality of a story is capable of compensating for lackluster visuals. Soten no Ken would have to be nothing short of a masterpiece in order to atone for what it's done to my eyes. I don't think that's how necks work. Most anime cater to otaku, but the level of pandering in the first episode of 3D Kanojo was borderline repulsive. Our otaku protagonist is an unlikable, literal slut-shaming shell of a character intended to be an audience surrogate. Admirable actions, such as standing up for a girl being abused by her boyfriend, are wasted on this unsympathetic boy. The anime even had the audacity to romanticize stalking a girl by using the otaku's testimony of the girl's whereabouts as a means to defend her after she was wrongfully accused of stealing. I wish I could say my biggest complaint of the anime was simply how it replaces characterization with the use of archetypes. Unfortunately, it's the show's delusional sense of morality. On the other hand, Wotakoi is an anime that respectfully approaches the otaku lifestyle while tastefully joking about it, earnestly capturing the humorous duality of otaku in the workplace rather than portraying otaku from a shallow and cynical perspective. I cannot wait to see more of this absolutely delightful relationship between these two adorable nerds. As a huge Persona 5 fan, I loved the first episode of the anime, but I have a hard time imagining it being immensely appealing to anyone who hasn't played the game. There's a difference between magical girl anime that are dark and dark magical girl anime. The former are somewhat satirical, borderline subversive. They embrace the essence of the genre while uniquely implementing an element of tragedy. The later, on the other hand, is a subgenre that has latched on to the qualifier of dark, intentionally bastardizing the beliefs instilled by the parent genre in an effort to elicit shock and discomfort, like Mahou Shoujo Sight, for example. Typically, I'm not a fan of shows like Mahou Shoujo Sight that are clearly dark for the sake of being dark. However, this anime is too dark to not watch. It's comically dark. While there's no way I could earnestly recommend the series at this point, my morbid curiosity is preventing me from dropping it. If the pretentious referencing of Aristotle and Freud weren't off-putting enough, the totally nonsensical semblance of a plot in Caligula is concerning, to say the least. The only appropriate reaction to the end of the first episode is an unsympathetic yet emphatic "What?" Aside from the awkward CG, Piano no Mori had an exceptionally solid first episode, despite lacking any particular nuances worth mentioning. Cutie Honey is a formulaic magical girl anime with excessive fan service. Guruzeni's unique approach to inside baseball is genuinely admirable. A baseball anime told from a highly technical perspective without focusing primarily on the sport itself feels educational in a sense. My only major concern for the series, despite being perfectly enjoyable, is its inability to stand out. In a season full of cute girls and tough boys, it's hard to justify watching a methodical relief pitcher concerned with his income. Looking past the ugly bear for a moment, I'm inclined to say Golden Kamuy had one of the most compelling premises of any anime this season. The foundation of the anime screams epic saga, emanating vibes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Berserk. Unfortunately, the visuals didn't coincide with the potential magnitude of the story. Although the CG bear contributed to the underwhelming aesthetics, the overall direction of the first episode seemed flat and lacked impact. A successful adaptation doesn't treat animation as a supplementary element. If the Golden Kamuy anime isn't going to look better than its source material, for what reason should I choose the anime over the manga? If I'm being completely honest, by the time Last Period was released, my tolerance for mediocre anime was reaching its peak, and this just felt like A1 Pictures was making another anime because they could. So, what should you watch? I think the most promising anime as of now are Megalo Box, Piano no Mori, The Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Hinamatsuri, Wotakoi, and Hisone no Maso-tan. Anime with strong potential are Golden Kamuy, Tadda-kun wa Koi wa Shinai, and Persona 5. Guilty pleasures are Cutie Honey, Musume Pretty Derby, Mahou Shoujo's Sight, and Dorei-Ku. And of course, be sure to check out continuations of Boku no Hero, Amanchu, Steins Gate, Shokugeki, Tokyo Ghoul, Lupin III, and Anime of the Year, Gift from the Heavens, Embodiment of Bliss, High School DxD.